The Matt's Movie Reviews channel is brought to you by 80s Tees. 80s Tees is an online retailer of licensed t-shirts and pop culture gear from your favorite movies, TV shows, cartoons, video games, comic books, and musicians. Celebrate your inner 80s nerd and click on the link in the show notes below to get the raddest retro t-shirts delivered to your door. First up, let's talk about some current events. I don't want to get too political on this show, but this news was of real interest for me. So, Sean Penn on the ground in Ukraine filming documentary about Russia's invasion. Sean Penn is a really interesting guy, isn't he? Fantastic actor, one of my favorite actors. I mean, the work that he's done, superb. I don't remember the last great movie he's done, but the movies that he has done in the past have been there's fantastic performances there. Dead Man Walking and Mystic River and 21 Grams and so many others. State of Grace, Carlito's Way, heaps of them. But what kind of irks me about him in a certain way, and what I kind of find him to be very endearing about him at the same time, which is a kind of weird juxtaposition there, is that he's his political activism can be a little showboaty, I think. It's fantastic and it's fine that he wants to delve into humanitarian causes, that he wants to talk about political things and social things. He's an American. It's a free country, expression of speech, freedom of speech, including political speech as well. That's absolutely fine. But what I find fascinating about Sean Penn is that wherever he is doing his kind of like his humanitarian political activism, there's also always a camera there with him. I find that very strange and odd indeed. I don't know if you guys remember back when Hurricane Katrina happened all the way back in the early 2000s, he was out there in the waters of Louisiana with a boat, saving people from the river. Good on him, but he had someone taking photos of him while he was doing it. When Haiti had that big earthquake, he went over there, he set up tents, he set up medical aid. But he had a documentary crew with him following him around, capturing him in all his kind of like in all his glory. And funny enough, I saw a movie last year. It was called Citizen Penn, and it kind of like it followed Sean Penn over to Haiti and looked at his humanitarian efforts and such. Here we go. Comments. Spam. Anyway, blocked. But and here we are again with Ukraine. I mean, he's over there for Vice Studios filming the documentary. He's talking to the president of Ukraine. He's amongst the press corps, etc. I'm just trying to figure out what the end game is for him with this, kind of like what's going on over there. It's a terrible situation, the whole kind of Russia invasion of Ukraine. The amount of people have been killed and missiles launched and properties and houses lost. And then this Hollywood guy's over there, he's filming it, and I'm sure they're going to release a documentary. And like I said, he means well. It's just that it just feels like he's exploiting the situation. And it's not the first time that he's done this. He's got a big heart. He's got big balls as well, to tell you the truth. He puts himself out there and he does this stuff. But he's got a big ego. Really big ego, and I think sometimes it's really hard to not be cynical when you see him do all of this. It's really interesting. I'm going to bring up a different article here that I found was from back in 2016. Do I have it? Here we go. I think it was from the Washington Post. Yep. A history of Sean Penn's curious habit of inserting himself into international controversy. And this was back in 2016. He's still doing it. I don't know if you remember back when of the whole Iraq war and the weapons of mass destruction thing. He was over there in Iraq writing something. I forgot whether it was for Time magazine or New York Times. I forgot what publication it was. And funny enough, when Team America, that movie came out by Trey Parker and Matt Stone, when he was lampooned in that as kind of like this ego-seeking kind of like a guy, he got really upset about it and wrote a letter to them in regards to that. Don't forget the El Chapo controversy there as well. He was he interviewed the infamous drug kingpin. I think he just escaped from jail as well, and just funny. Deb has a question. Do I wonder you do wonder the motives, but I wonder if it is his ego. Perhaps he thinks it can help more than we start out showing a light on what's going on. I do I'm cynical too. I think it's a little bit of both, Deb. I think he thinks he can help. I do think he can help. I think that it's really important that people in his position with the money and the resources that he has can help. I mean, look at the whole situation over in Haiti, for example. He's over there doing stuff, and he's not one for bureaucracy. Sean Penn, he really wants, to get things done, and he'll do it because, he's a Hollywood player and he gets his way all the time. So I'm sure when it comes to his charitable endeavors, he's not one for the mawkish. He's going to be, out there doing what he can. But when I saw this whole thing with the Ukraine and he was doing a documentary, I just can't help to be cynical as well, because it's one thing where you're very charitable. It's another thing where you have a camera following around doing everything that you do, and then you later package that into some type of content, documentary or whatever, and then you release that, and then what? I'm cynical about it as well. At the same time, though, I kind of admire the guy about it. I'm on two fences here. It is interesting. When I watched that Citizen Penn documentary that came out last year, I found myself in more of admiration of him than anything else, because he did go to Haiti and he did do all those great things over there and got medical supplies, etc. But then you forget that, he was butting up to Castro, and then he had all that thing with that bloke in Venezuela as well. What was the guy's name? The president over there who passed away not long ago. Here we go. Why am I not thinking about the guy? Okay, Hugo Chavez. So he went over to Venezuela and became really close friends with Hugo Chavez, and still to this day, he really talks up that guy as a leader and a man. The dude was a bona fide tyrant and a dictator. You ask any Venezuelan person, they will tell you outright that he was not a very liked person. And you ask anyone who deals with politics and international politics, and they'll tell you that he was definitely a dictator. But Sean Penn stood up for him. So at one point, I dig what he does. I really think it's important that you do have people go out there and put their money where their mouth is and help any way that they can. But on the other hand, dude, just leave the cameras at home. I mean, what are you going to do over there in Ukraine right now that no one else isn't covering? I know you're doing it for Vice Studios. I mean, what's the point right now? What's the end game here? I don't know. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's, I don't know. Aren't there journalists out there that need to do this stuff? I remember when the whole kind of El Chapo thing happened, even when the whole thing with Iraq war happened, and he went over there and is looking for these weapons of mass destruction. A lot of people were wondering the same thing. Aren't there journalists that do this? Isn't there people in these positions who should be able to go out there and do this? Or because he has the star power, is he able to get access that other journalists can't? I don't know. I'm not sure. But it's definitely something worth to keep an eye on right here. That's for sure. Sean Penn in the Ukraine. Very interesting. Thank you for watching the Matt's Movie Reviews channel. Please subscribe for more reviews, podcast interviews, and exclusive content. Also, if you would like to request a review and support my work, please join my Patreon via the link in the description below.